Getting a late autism diagnosis can be life-changing, and it often comes with a whirlwind of emotions. In this video, I'm going to talk about 10 common experiences and emotions that people have after a late-stage autistic diagnosis. Hello, I'm Autistic Brit. I was diagnosed as autistic at the age of 37. I'm still learning what autism means to me, and I make content sharing my journey. First, we have relief. For many people, myself included, finally having one term and an explanation for all of these difficulties is an incredible relief, and it feels like a huge weight has been lifted off your shoulders. Suddenly all of your struggles and difficulties make sense. Things that you didn't even connect in the past, and things that you wouldn't connect, things that you wouldn't expect. For example, why would my social difficulties and struggles with friendships and relationships have anything to do with the fact that I don't like touching wet and cold things? These things don't have an intuitive connection, but now it all makes sense under this diagnosis, under this new word of autism. Relief is often followed by validation. There's a real sense of validation that comes with the diagnosis. You weren't lazy, broken, or defective in the past. You just operated differently, and that's okay. All of those struggles, misunderstandings, feeling isolated, disorientated, all of that is now explained under this umbrella term of autism. But with validation can come confusion. This is something that I'm dealing with personally as well at the moment, and something that I'm trying to work through. But which parts of me are my autism and which parts are my personality, which parts are me? These elements are so interwoven sometimes that it does feel impossible to pry them apart. You know, what's being driven by my autism, my disability, and what are these things that I just intrinsically value and enjoy as part of me and as part of my personality? It can be super disorientating and confusing, and sometimes that confusion can lead to something heavier, which is grief. Depending on how late you've been diagnosed, you could have had a literal lifetime of struggle, misunderstanding, and isolation. Like me, for example, I was diagnosed after 37 years, so that's a literal lifetime. I was unsupported, misunderstood, and I generally struggled and was sort of left to struggle on my own. I didn't have any help with that. So it's a very common feeling to have grief and to wish that you'd known sooner. And with grief often comes anger. People just feel very angry and frustrated that no one picked up on any of the signs. There were so many opportunities throughout literally someone's entire life for someone to just notice. Usually this would be most helpful early on, you know, in education, if teachers or people in the education system would notice and investigate these things further, then people's lives would have been very different, mine included. If anyone had just noticed some of these signs earlier, we could have had childhood support, we could have had tools taught to us, and we would have an entire childhood to learn these tools, to get used to how to use them, and all of this would have been incredibly helpful moving forward. We all would have had very different lives, and that in itself is isolating, and it feels, just from personal experience, it feels very unfair. But alongside all of that, there's always hope. There's hope for the future. With my diagnosis, I have this very potent, powerful tool that I can use going forward. You have better self-understanding. You don't have to beat yourself up if you're having a difficult time. You can realize, okay, I'm struggling with this. I can see that, other neurotypical people aren't, but that's completely okay. That this isn't a personal failing. This isn't something that I have specifically done wrong. I just have autism and my brain works completely different. This was not a world built for us. So this is completely understandable and okay. That hope can grow into empowerment. You can start embracing your autistic identity, and you can start to learn about who you really are. You can really accept this part of yourself and begin to unmask and take off all of the armor. I think as autistic people, we are naturally people pleasers because we've had to be in order to survive. But you can really start to unmask and be yourself and be unapologetic. And that's very liberating and empowering. But this process isn't always straightforward, and it can lead to isolation. It's a completely unique individual journey that we all go through. Even though it's something that we all go through, they are all different, unique journeys. And that in itself is just intrinsically isolating. You start to wonder if people truly understand. You question if you really understand in yourself. Do you really understand who you are and this diagnosis? What's you? What's your personality? What's the diagnosis? Even things like, am I autistic enough? Will I be accepted in the autistic community? But with isolation, this can also spark curiosity. As autistic people, we love all the information we can get, and we love to research. And this curiosity can really drive us to understand more about the diagnosis in terms of a professional setting, personally, in terms of relationships, in terms of handling our sensory difficulties. You know, we watch content, which I do a lot of. There's a lot of amazing YouTubers. We watch podcasts, books, there's a lot of information out there, and we can really enrich our minds and our knowledge and understanding of autism generally and who we are because of that, how we relate to this diagnosis. There's always a level of excitement as well with curiosity, I think. And that's a really good, positive thing. After all these emotions, there's often uncertainty. Uncertainty about the future, relationships, how you can change your life to accommodate for yourself, to make yourself more comfortable and happy, how to approach accommodations in employment, for example, because this is something that we've never had to do. This is new to us. We are newly diagnosed. So we don't know how these accommodations would look in the professional workplace, or how to even approach managers and bosses with this information. It can be very anxiety inducing and just an incredibly difficult task. But this uncertainty is completely normal, valid, and okay. This isn't something that people need to beat themselves up about. We already have the difficult emotion of uncertainty. We don't need to then double down and make ourselves feel bad for feeling uncertain. So those are 10 common feelings that people feel after a late stage autism diagnosis. It's rarely just one emotion, it's very often a mixture, a complete whirlwind, and all of this can change over time, and it's all valid and it's all okay. If you've been diagnosed recently, if you can relate to any of these emotions, or if you just have any questions, please comment. I would really like to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. If you're also autistic, late diagnosed, or just curious, please consider subscribing for more videos about being a late diagnosed adult. Thank you very much. Bye bye.